Making music for video games is hard. Composers have to constantly think of many tracks that will fit into the game's atmosphere, its lore, and ideas. Not only that, many times, the song has to be built with a loop in mind, as players can stick in a specific area for a long amount of time, and you have to make it so that they don't get bored from listening to the same track over and over and over again. There's also resequencing, like in Mario Kart, where the closer you are to selecting a track, the music gets more instruments and it gets louder between ideas and characters. Why did my wife leave? So with all that, you might think to yourself,
okay, we get it. Composing VGM is hard. So I guess most video game music sucks, right?
of course not, little dumb viewer. There's lots of amazing music in video games, and I bet anyone can find some of their favorite songs in video games. Take it from me as we take a look into music behind one of my— oh my god, it's Risk of Rain! Yeah, I guess you could say I'm a small fan. Anyways, this is you. You arrived from a ship to answer a distress signal and are thrust into an alien world. The question is, how does a composer handle all of this and still cook amazing recognizable tracks that fit in with the game's ambiance? The answer is simple. He just did. So pack your bungas and get on your drop pod, because we're gonna be here for a while. It's time to talk about the music of Risk of Rain 2. It all starts with a little kid called Chris Christodoulou. By the way, epic name, bro. Just a young boy who liked to learn about music theory, composition, and design. Well, fast forward to 2009 and he went to the Netherlands to study a composing for film program, where he worked on music for short films and his first video game scores, which included Risk of Rain 1. Chris was brought into the team as composer after the creators of the game, Duncan Drummond and Paul Morse, launched a Kickstarter to get more budget for the game's development. Naturally, the game was a success. And when it came time for a sequel, the game was going to go into 3D, with much more detailed and expansive environments. This meant that Chris, who was brought back from his basement, was going to have his work cut out for him. As you load up the game for the first time, a dark and brooding soundtrack fills the scene. It's a sinister atmosphere that sets the mood for the foreign planet you will be landing on, and it gives you a small taste of the sound palette this game utilizes. Mainly, the use of synthesizers. We got pads, leads, and everything in between, yo! And songs will usually start slow and build up energy with these elements, so keep them on the top of your mind, okay? The second thing you're gonna find out about the game is that the game is hard!
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
And for a while, your priority will just be to stay alive and progress through the stages. It's gonna be your main focus, cause you're gonna keep dying often. And you're gonna realize that you're not even playing on the hardest mode, okay? Don't even think about touching that drizzle button, okay? I see you. You're not a CC, okay? You're a man. We don't play on drizzle, okay? F drizzle. But I do believe that there's a common turning point. An experience shared by everybody in the community, which is getting to the... when you get to the... The beautiful purple isles contrast with the darker, more violent atmospheres you faced before. This is nice, you think to yourself. You keep playing, and you start to notice the music in the background slowly building up. A kick and a snare, constantly reminding you of its presence. And eventually, after a beat drop, the electric guitar springs to life. Your jaw drops. You can't stop playing, because if you die, the music will too. You don't want that, so you keep hanging on, you keep shooting, you keep moving. There's enemies everywhere, but there you are, keeping it alive, and you're finally there and it peaks! Well, if you really want to know how the sausage is made, let's take a look at the steps Chris took to achieve the vibe. First off, he actually researched stuff, and unlike me making this video, whenever Chris works on a creative project, he asks himself, what does the game look like? Is there any concept art available? What's the lore behind the characters and the world they live in? For Risk of Rain 2, he did play a demo to get a feel for how the game controls and looks, so as to have this foundation where he can base his songs off of. If you're a halfway decent composer, reach out to your employer to understand the project better. The man takes heavy inspiration from prog rock and electronic music. He incorporates it in basically every track on the album. My favorite example of how he blends these two genres together is the synth lead he uses on almost all of the tracks. It almost sounds like a guitar, but not quite. It's just the way that he bends the pitch on the keyboard that makes it seem more like it. But yeah, if you thought this was a guitar, you're not on your own. This is definitely a staple of the Risk of Rain sound, and having the same instruments on tracks can help with the game's overall cohesion and structure. Lastly, we got details. So the amount of polish and care is pretty insane. If you listen to the tracks closely, you'll realize that no repetition is the same. Whether he syncopates an extra drum kick or adds another instrument in the background, every time a part of the track is repeated, it's never quite the same. You can also hear many motifs repeating throughout the soundtrack, and others return for the DLC tracks, which I might dive into a later video. So comment down below if you'd like to see a video covering both DLCs. But for now, here's a small sample of the motifs. Alright boys, let's end off this section with some Easter eggs. Now, many of the song names are just references to water stuff, and obviously rain. I mean, come on, it's in the title. They can also just be pop culture references. I'm gonna leave all the titles up in the screen and comment below what you think they reference. But my favorite soundtrack name definitely has to be Nocturnal Emission. Like, Chris didn't need to do this, he did. And of course it plays on the stage called Wetland Aspect.
You can't keep getting away with it!
The teleporter actually makes its own little jingle at the start of every stage, and it gets louder the closer you get to it. So if you're actually listening to the game and paying attention, you can actually guide yourself to the teleporter. Too bad you're on Spotify listening to your crappy playlist instead of listening to the game. These little details like the song titles are what adds personality to the game, and it shows that that composer loves his own tracks. And now that we've seen all the key factors, pause the video and discuss in groups of 3 what you think the most important step was. You know, many video games have excellent boss themes. There's your Sephiroths, your Cynthias, your Eggman. All of these do a great job at adding flair to the characters they're based off of. But for Risk of Rain, it's not just the actual boss fight music which rules. I would actually argue that the prelude to Mithrix, the game's final boss, is way better at setting the mood. As you leave the room you got teleported from after leaving Sky Meadow, an emotive, deliberate piano starts us off with a powerful slowness. As with the rain formerly known as Purple, instruments slowly join into the mix. Your journey is almost coming to an end, and you feel at awe, slightly relaxed but still uneasy. The sterile, white map is just as comforting as it is depressing. There's a huge tower erected in the middle of the stage that looms over you. You keep trudging forward. The objective is clear, complete the rituals. Or just cheat the system like 99% of players. Anyways, if you didn't, it seems almost impossible to reach, but as you finish your last rituals, boosters open up that fly you up to the main stage, where the King of Nothing awaits. Pensé en un mundo sin memoria, sin tiempo. Consideré la posibilidad de un lenguaje que ignorara los sustantivos, un lenguaje de verbos impersonales o de indeclinables epítetos. Así fueron muriendo los días y con los días los años. Pero algo parecido a la felicidad ocurrió una mañana. Llovió con lentitud poderosa. This, to me, is Chris's magnum opus. It's perfectly set up for the game, but putting all of that aside, it's just a masterclass on personality and tone. And if there's one song I want you to listen as a main takeaway from this video, it's to listen to this song. You will come back a changed man. Risk of Rain 2 is one of my bestest games. There was a long period of time during high school where I used to set aside about an hour a day just to play one run and see how far I could go. Whether I died in 2 hours or 2 minutes, it would be my only run of the game. It served kind of as a way to unwind and relax, cause its music is just as addicting as the game itself. Now, what's great about Mr. Christodoulou is that he has lots of videos detailing his music making process, as well as an analysis on most of the tracks. He's got lots of great stuff, so make sure to go check him out, especially if you're into composing. Now, on another note, thank you guys for sticking around till the end. I know it took me longer to make this video. Make sure to leave all your thoughts, comments, and suggestions below, and I'll catch you later. Peace.